Presenting to you the interactive space for critical and objective open thinking. Floating in Space with MartianUFO. Produced by MartianUFO Media. The best podcast on air with your hearty host. Catch episodes weekly on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Floating in Space. This is Y-Wave Wednesdays number 2, and I'm MartianUFO here floating with you. And if you remember, last week I did the Y-Wave Wednesdays number 1, in which I talked about 3 black influential historians, people in history who influenced black power, I guess, black lives, black people. And then I brought up a positive story to kind of brighten up people's day, bring out some positivity. That's what the focus of this recording is right now. And then, I'm doing like 2 or 3 back-to-back. So in the next one, the tone of my voice is probably going to change, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see that. But anyways, yeah, man, this is Y-Wave Wednesdays, and let's get into it. I talked about 3 individuals last week. I think I talked about Ann Cools. Can't remember the other 2, but I got some interesting people here who might interest people, I guess. First individual is Mary Ann Shadd Carey. So she was the first woman to become a publisher in Canada, which is interesting for people who like books, like to read, and who have aspirations to hopefully get their own books published one day. And if you are a black person, maybe study this person and then see what she did at the time. But anyway, she arrived in Canada when American slaves were escaping here at the same time. She devoted herself to teaching the children of former slaves arriving in Canada. So she was a teacher, she wrote books, and she was the first publisher for other black people at the time who wanted to publish their books as well. So she returned to the U.S. and was active in the women's suffrage movement as well. So basically more women's rights at the time, if you don't know what suffrage means. She died in Washington in 1893 at the age of 69. Next individual, Willie O'Ree. So he's Fredericton born. He was also, some people might know him who like hockey. He's the first black player in the NHL. He made his debut with the Boston Bruins, and he was born in Canada, so that's why he's notable. He played in the 1957-58 season, and then he later retired in 1979, playing in the WHL. Nice. And then John Ware. This is a little close to home for people who reside in Alberta, Canada, and whatnot. Mr. John Ware, who started out as a former slave, and he settled here in Alberta. It does not say where, but he gained recognition for his skill as a cowboy. So he established 2 ranches before his death in 1905. I'm sure a lot of people don't know him, and I guess it's possible for black people to be a cowboy, I guess, actually. So we got one for us out there. Anyways, moving on to the positive story. Let's find this here for you. So I always have the information at the same time. We're talking about a guy here. He's from... Where is he from? England. Mr. Zane Powles, who during the lockdown of England, he spent pretty much every single day preparing food for his pupils, his students. So he's a teacher. He delivered 7,500 packed lunches to all these kids. They're calling him the award-winning hero teacher in England. He spent each of his days preparing food for his students, and he just made his final delivery today, actually. He did 85 lunches each morning, delivering them, walking around. He walked about 7.5 miles, which I think in kilometers, that's about 15K a day, basically. So he was doing his steps. He made his rounds for 17 weeks, totaled over 600 miles, about 1,000 kilometers, I think, somewhere in that range. Living over in northeast Lincolnshire. Hopefully I said that right. He's 48 years old. He estimates that he carried roughly like 4 tons of food during the whole time, which is a lot of food for one person to carry, especially delivering it to kids, which it's good. In this time right now when we're talking about all the negative stories and things that need to be brought to attention, unfortunately, in terms of the child sex trafficking and things like that. This is a positive side about, how somebody's trying to impact the lives of children in a positive way, and so it needs to be brought to attention at the same time. So when the school where he packs his lunches closed for the summer on the 17th of July, he delivered his final food package on the emotionally charged Friday afternoon. He says, "When I started these walks, I was concerned about the kids and their well-being. I wanted to make sure I could see them all." He says he works at the Western Primary School in the large coastal seaport of Grimsby. So anybody that's from England might know of these areas, know of this location, might even know this guy. Shout out to him, give him a shout out, commend him for his work for these kids. He says he needed to know if they were safe, if they were healthy, and if they had access to food. So, man, shout out to him, man. He says after all these months, it was a bit emotional for him. Of course, like every time he would show up at a person's house, he loved seeing his students. He'd see these people, they'd be smiling, and obviously receiving these gifts that he took his time, made with his own hands. It's honorable, commendable. He says he's just doing his job, at the end of the day, but I'm thinking that he really is going above and beyond because, how many teachers are doing that anywhere, right? But it just goes to show the level of care and things like that. But let's see. He got up at 7 a.m. each day to start preparing, packaging his food. And he'd head out 2 hours a day. He didn't take a day off during the pandemic while undertaking the mammoth task. Well, the pandemic is still going on, but I'm thinking that over there that their lives have kind of returned back to some normalcy. So he doesn't have to do it to the same degree. He's also a father of 3. So he says, it was relentless and exhausting while having kids himself and having to prepare their lunches, their meals every day, and being there for them, doing this as well. So just taking on a lot more responsibility with that time. Sometimes he said, when delivering the lunches, he would leave some homework for the students. He said that they weren't really as happy as about the homework as they were about the food. So, I probably would not be either. He also commended Manchester United star Marcus Rashford, who successfully campaigned for free school meal vouchers for children in the summer. That's awesome. I think that really should be like lifetime, but, it's a fight, it's a battle. He says his mission is far from complete and he wants to continue to help children in need, which we all should be doing. He will be cycling through all of the UK's city castles in a journey which will take him 1,500 miles to finish. It's a lot of kilometers. I'm not going to estimate the number. His stops will include Edinburgh Castle, Belfast Castle, Dublin Castle, Cardiff Castle, and the Tower of London. So anybody who's listening, who's around in these areas, you might see him. Make sure you stop by, give him a shout out, support him with what he's doing. He's going to be raising funds for meals and more. They provide support to children who live with poverty. I'm not sure where they're based out of, but if you look him up, he has a link on one of his pages where you can donate to his cause. He says in the summer, the children's struggles are invisible to us because we don't see them, but it's essential that we ensure they're safe. And that's true, because also in the same sense, the struggles are invisible to us if we choose not to see them, which I think is a hard thing for people sometimes, especially myself. I have to take time and look at myself and see the ways in which I can help. And yeah, especially because there's times when I need it, times where I don't need it, and I appreciate the times that I don't need it. and how to go forward and to help other people in that time. Anyways, because of his work, he won the Inspirational Primary School Teacher Award, and one of the parents nominated him. So he put a lot of work forward to helping kids and helping the students in the school. He helped the school's behavior unit. So there's a lot of kids who have issues and problems, and they need somebody to speak to. So here's a guy who's really doing his best. He says, he was speaking at the award ceremony. He says, we should never give up on the children. Having a tough upbringing is never their fault. And that is true. It's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. Got to try our best to kind of just deal with that problem, to heal that issue, and to, just really try and do our best and to remind ourselves to live day by day, that you don't need to rush through the days of life, because these kids, these children, obviously their lives are being lived in a very small window of their life, right? And they see things a certain way. So bringing happiness, bringing meals certainly into their lives is just another thing to kind of further that joy that we got to keep around them for as long as possible. And with that, I'm going to leave you there. Enjoy your Wednesday. Happy hump day to all the workers and everybody doing their thing. Keep grinding, keep making your money, and keep floating.